The BMA's annual representative meeting closed in Edinburgh last week. That's the gathering of BMA doctors who come together from across the country to discuss what's been happening in the last 12 months in the medical field and also to look ahead to what's going to be coming up in the next year. Today I'll be talking to Dr. Hamish Meldrum, the chairman of the BMA, to have a look back at what happened at the conference and some of the agenda that was set for the next 12 months. Dr. Meldrum, can you sum up the main mood of the conference for us?
It's always quite difficult to do that because it's such a wide-ranging event with many motions that are put forward by representatives. It was quite interesting, though, the fact that it was being held in Edinburgh, because I think it highlighted the fact that there's been quite a degree of devolution in terms of the NHS, and in this case more England evolving away from the other three countries in terms of how it runs its health service. So the concept of the market, of private involvement in healthcare, I think was a theme that ran quite a bit through many of the motions that were being debated. But there are obviously other more specific issues like those affecting junior doctors and particularly accommodation in the FY1 years, the new SAS contract, how that's being implemented, the ongoing attack against GPs and the GPs campaign, the fact that consultants want to expand the consultant workforce and how we look at that. And of course the response to Darcy and his next stage review and all the issues that flow from that. So quite a wide-ranging series of things to discuss.
One of the big issues at the ARM and also in the media just beforehand was the issue of co-payments for medical care. Can you tell us what the conference decided on this important issue?
I think it was interesting actually. The debate, which was quite a wide-ranging debate and some of the votes were quite narrow, effectively said, well, we think we quite like the idea of co-payments, or we think they may be almost inevitable. However, it stopped short of saying we want them introduced immediately, and in fact by asking for a Royal Commission to look at the wider issues surrounding that, I think they felt that actually there were a lot more issues than just the narrow issue of co-payments that needed to be debated. And there were concerns about what this might mean for the future of the NHS. So guardedly in favour, but wanting more discussion before a final decision is taken.
There were actually a lot of motions at the conference that you maybe could describe as being a little bit angry. Could you explain why that was maybe the case?
Well, I don't think that's unusual. People rarely send in motions saying, we're very happy, everything's all right, thank you very much. People tend to put in motions that they are about issues they're unhappy about, or, as you say, even angry about. I think there is quite a lot of anger at the way the government, the profession feels the government has treated them. The fact that the government seems to be pushing forward with its privatisation agenda without much evidence that it's helpful. The fact that some of the contract agreements, particularly those with GPs, have been reneged on, and the concerns about the delay over the SAS contract. Again, to reiterate the problems about junior accommodation and the fact that in a way they feel again the government's gone back on their word. So all these issues, I think, and given the fact that people do put in motions about things they're unhappy about, do tend to give that feeling. And you know, I wouldn't underplay the amount of unhappiness there is. But I was trying to also say to conferences that there are areas where we can try to be a bit more optimistic in terms of the headline things that Darcy has talked about better quality, more engagement of doctors. These are things we need to try and take on and work with and see if we can improve.
And how do you feel our relationship, or the BMA's relationship with the government is going to develop in the next 12 months?
Well, it takes two to tango, as they say. I've always made it willing that despite, made it obvious that despite our differences, I'm willing to talk and to try and see a way through these issues, because I think in many ways we all want to see the same thing, which is a vibrant NHS, an NHS that's really fit and ready to meet the challenges of the next 60 years, and one that works in the best interests of patients. We may have slightly different views about how we get there, and certainly there have been all these problems that I've mentioned, and I don't want to underestimate them. But equally, I'm always willing to talk. We may not always agree, and I certainly won't be a pushover on certain things, but very happy to talk, and I hope they're happy to talk as well.
And in terms of the next year, can you maybe tell us what you think are the main challenges that are actually going to be coming up for the BMA and also for doctors in general?
Well, I think for England particularly, there'll be the follow-on from Darcy's next stage review, and we are very anxious to see that the principles that he's espoused are actually put into practice, and that there is proper engagement, proper discussion, and proper thought about any moves forward, and not the sort of imposed problems that we've seen recently. Devolution too is going to be an ongoing issue, not just in terms of the different healthcare systems that we've got in the 4 countries, but actually how the BMA adapts to that. And I'm very keen that the BMA improves and expands its local structures, both in the countries but within countries, to actually make the service that we offer members more relevant and more appropriate and more tailored to their individual needs. So I think there are challenges both inside and outside the association in terms of how we take things forward and try to do our job, which is to represent the best interests of our members.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Meldrum.
Thank you.